What is going on, everybody on YouTube? Steve here with Raiken Profit, coming back to you with another video in this Pawn Shop Profit series. This is video number 2, and in today's video, it's going to be a pretty simple, straightforward video. We're going to be talking about how to find pawn shops. So hopefully in the last video I convinced you of why I love sourcing from pawn shops and why you should at least look into it. So let's just say that you've decided to start sourcing from pawn shops for your e-commerce business, and you're trying to figure out what's the best way to be able to find them. So I'm gonna go over 3 ways that I find pawn shops, and I'm able to get my hands on pawn shop items and get inside the store. So let's just jump right into this. The first way that I find pawn shops, and probably the best, most effective way, is by using Google Maps. It's an app, Google Maps. So whether you have an iPhone or an Android, download Google Maps. It's probably already on your phone. And once you get into there, you're gonna wanna type in a phrase. So maybe pawn shops in Connecticut, or pawn shops near wherever you are, or just type in pawn shops. And if you've got your location turned on inside your phone, it'll actually show you all the pawn shops within your given area. So that's an awesome way to be able to find pawn shops in your area, your local area, or if you're traveling and you're not familiar with your surroundings. So when I was on my 90-day road trip and I was in Texas, when I was in Florida, California, I didn't know where I was. Pretty much what I did was I just logged on to my Google Maps app, typed in pawn shop or pawn shops near San Jose, California, pawn shops near wherever I was, and I'd find pawn shops. Method number 2 for finding pawn shops is to ask the pawn shop owners or the workers. So let's say you're in a pawn shop and you're gonna buy a calculator, a camera, new in a box item. You go to checkout, you give them the cash, you get a great deal. Well, before you leave, just ask them, hey, do you have any more pawn shops in this area? Or hey, do you know of any more pawn shops on this street or in this town? And a lot of times they'll tell you, hey, we've got a whole bunch of them, in this area, or hey, here's a flyer. Check out this paper, it shows all our locations on it, or hey, we know someone who has a pawn shop down the street over there. So don't be scared to ask, don't be scared to talk and interact. And a lot of times you'll get, thrown different pawn shops in your area that you didn't even know existed. So that's method number 2. And the last method, I'm gonna give you a disclaimer though. Be careful. The last method is keep your eyes out when you're driving. The disclaimer is keep your eyes on the road, but be aware of your surroundings. When you're driving around, if you're stopped at a stop sign or an intersection, just look around and see, if there's anything that stands out. Maybe there's a pawn shop, maybe there's a garage sale, maybe there's a thrift store, I don't know. But just keep your eyes open when you're driving. Be aware of your surroundings, and a lot of times you'll just come across pawn shops that you didn't even know existed. This actually happened the other day to me. I was driving, I was in a part of town that I'm not like super familiar with. I just moved to this area, I got my new townhouse that I am renting, and I was driving and I stopped at an intersection. I was looking over and I was like, wait a second, is that a pawn shop? And it actually was. It was a pawn shop that happened to move in about a month or 2 ago, maybe a little more than that, but I was on my road trip when they moved in. I never saw it on Google, I never saw it on the Google app or anything, so maybe it hadn't gotten registered yet into the Google app, but found a pawn shop just by being aware of my surroundings and whatnot. So keep your eyes open when you're driving, but just be careful. So those are the 3 main ways that I come across pawn shops to source items for my business, especially my Amazon FBA business. The number 1 way to find pawn shops is by using the Google Maps app. Number 2, talk to the pawn shop owners and the workers. Ask them, hey, do you have any more pawn shops in the area? Or hey, do you know of any other pawn shops that are on the street in this town, etc., etc. And last but not least, keep your eyes open when you're driving. You never know, especially if you're in an area you're not familiar with, you never know if there's a pawn shop around you, or you'll drive right by one. And stopping by for that 5 to 10 minutes, to go look in to see if there's items in there can make you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you're at the point now where you're convinced, listen, I wanna start sourcing from pawn shops, I wanna make some pawn shop profits, I wanna add it to my arsenal, just log on to Google Maps, or keep your eyes open when you're driving, or just ask around and you'll definitely find some pawn shops. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'll have another video coming up in this pawn shop series. probably within the next week or so. And we're going to be talking about negotiations. We're going to be talking about bundling, cash offers, just a lot of different areas that are going to help you to make money buying and selling from pawn shops. So until next time, I'll see you in the next video, and have a great day. Keep on picking and making that money. Bye.